Mataji, you can start the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are so fortunate to have Her Grace VanaMalini Manjari Mataji from Ohio. And Mataji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 6.16.45 verse and onwards. So thank you so much, Mataji, for taking up this service. Hare Krishna and always be there. Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji. Can you all hear me? Oh, yes, Mataji, we can hear you. Hare Krishna. Dandavad pranams to all the devotees on the call. I like to engage in service and in association of all the devotees. So this is something sudden. So now I just pray to Krishna and Guru so that their mercy flows through us. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Vitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Shyam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Syam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Hare Krishna once again to all the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. So we are reading chapter 16, which is where Maharaj Chitraketu gets the darshan of the Lord. So we know the story of Maharaj Chitraketu, who lost his son, who he has attained after praying a lot, and his other wives who didn't have the son, they poison him, and then he dies. After that, his wife Maharaj Chitraketu, they lament. Then again, gurus come and enlighten them. Narad Muni explains about Lord and his features to Chitraketu. And then Chitraketu Maharaj starts meditating on the Lord. And now he receives the darshan of the Lord, and that's how Chitraketu Maharaj is offering prayers from to the Lord after attaining his darshan. So now we see in the 45th verse, it is the continuation. So yesterday we read about the 44th verse, so which speaks about he says, Nahi Bhagavan aghatitam idam tvaddharshanam nunam akila papa kshayaha. So it is not at all impossible. As soon as we see you, all the papas will be vanquished or vanished from our. They get papa kshayaha. They will be removed by saying Sudarshana, and then he also glorifies the holy name of the Lord. Yannama sakrut shravanat pukkasopi vimuchyate samsarat. He says, by just hearing your name once, we all get free from all kinds of material contamination. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord is so powerful. So in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to get the physical darshan of the Lord. So, and then how are we going to experience this? So in Kali Yuga, Antar darshan of the Lord, meditating, when we are chanting the holy names of the Lord, we will always remember the Lord inside our heart. So that's why if we see the Damodar month, how King Satya, the Muni Satyavrata who wrote the Damodar Ashtakam also always says that I this form of you has to be always in my heart. So Antar darshan of the Lord is very, very is possible in Kali Yuga. So when will that happen? When no impurities are there inside our heart. And then when we are purely chanting the holy name of the Lord and rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. Devotional service not mixed with any kind of material desires or karma or jnana. Completely pure devotional service to the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord. So yesterday also when we read the code, with lot of love and attention when we chant the holy name of the Lord, without any kind of ulterior motive, sincerely, then we will be able to get the Antar darshan of the Lord. And as soon as we get the darshan of the Lord, all our papas that we have been accumulating from so many lifetimes will be removed. So when papas will be removed, the steadiness in our devotional service also continues, and we will be able to get the darshan more often. Like sometimes many of us might have experienced for a fraction of a second some kind of spiritual ecstasy, like when we are reading or when we enter into some temple, or when we are chanting, or when we are doing some kind of a service, we will feel the presence of the Lord for a fraction of a second, but it won't stay for a longer time. We don't get that transcendental ecstasy for a longer time. So when we purely chant and when all our sins are removed, wiped off, then we will get that. So now in the 45th verse, we'll read the 45th verse. He's continuing his prayers.
Mataji, you are not audible.
Oh, sorry, Prabhu, it got muted. I just realized that. Sorry. Atha Bhagavan Vayam Adhuna Tadavaloka Parimrushtasayamalam Surarushina Yat Katitam Tavakena Katamanyatha Bhavati Atha Bhagavan Vayam Adhuna Tvad Avaloka Parimrushtasayamalam Surarishina Yat Katitam Tavakena Katamanyatha Bhavati. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Atha, therefore, Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vayam, we, Adhuna, at the present moment, Tvat Avaloka, by seeing you, Parimrushta, wiped away, Asayamala, contaminated desires in the heart. Asaya, Mala, sorry, it's not Mala. Mala becomes garland. Mala. Asaya Mala, contaminated desires in the heart. Surarishina, by the great sage of demigods Narada. Yet, which Katitam, spoken, Tavakena, who is your devotee, Katham, how, Anyada, otherwise, Bhavati, can it be? Therefore, my dear Lord, Simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and their results of material attachment and lusty desires, which always filled my mind and the core of my heart. Whatever is predicted by the great sage Narada Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narada Muni. So Narada Muni has instructed about Lord, and also Narada Muni has advised. He gives mantra and then he asks him to chant. So Narada Muni, we discussed about Narada Muni many times in many sessions. Narada Muni has been a great teacher, guru to many devotees towards their path of enlightenment. So Narada Muni is saying so Chitraketu Maharaj has faith on Narada Muni's instructions and he follows. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj, many devotees, they have faith on Guru. When in the situation, if we look at the situation where they are and the circumstance where they reach the final result, it looks as if it is very impossible to attain that. So when we are reading all these verses, when we see that we will be able to get the darshan of the Lord, all our material desires will be wiped off. We will meet Lord face to face. Prabhupada says that, if we are in this process, one day we will meet Krishna face to face. So it looks very impossible for us right now because we are full of material desires. We have all kinds of impurities. So we will be thinking that, this is so difficult. These desires are so much needed. I don't want to be, I don't think I can become a pure devotee of the Lord. So I'll be just hanging around and become I'll do whenever you can. And it's impossible to happen. But if we have faith in Krishna, if we have faith in Guru's instructions, and if we are following sincerely Guru's instruction. So this is the important part. Most of the time, the enthusiasm that we show to get initiated will not stay after we get initiated. We think as if okay, we have reached the final exams, how the children after the final exams, until then they control all the desires of watching TV, going and hanging out with friends, playing. And then as soon as the final exams are over, they think that they have achieved everything in their life and there is nothing more to achieve. And they can be back to their previous life of spending time with friends, roaming around and engaging in all kinds of TV shows and all. But that's not the case. You still have to continue. After the exam is over, you get the results. You may be having another exam, another year, or you have to continue in your life with your job or everything. So similarly, the devotees also show a lot of enthusiasm until they get initiated. And once they get that initiated name, they think that, okay, they have achieved everything and they are now great devotees and there is nothing more to do. Actually, the life of devotional service or the journey to attain Krishna, the journey to get Krishna's mercy or Guru's mercy starts from the time we take initiation. So our devotional service starts from there. So we have to be even more serious after that. But then we become lenient in our practice. We are not serious anymore in our practice because we don't have faith in Guru's instruction, or we don't have faith in the promises that we have made to the Guru and Krishna. We take them light. We don't take them seriously. But those who have taken those instructions seriously and have faith in Guru's words and Krishna's words, they will attain the result what has been promised by the Guru, what has been promised by Prabhupada, that we will see Krishna face to face. We don't have taste in seeing Krishna face to face. We don't have taste in we don't have a desire to see Krishna face to face. We don't have desire to engage in direct service of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. We take the exceptional cases and we think that we just do our devotional service in a non-serious way. Like when we are free, we will do. When we are busy, we will stop. Or it's all together so many things. And so many times we do with so many ulterior motives. We'll practice just to go into the community and say that I'm initiated devotee, I chant this round. So all these, when we when we get ourselves rid of all these external factors of practicing the devotional service and keep only one internal practice of satisfying Guru and Krishna, and understand that we are doing devotional service for our sake, for purifying ourselves and get the darshan of Krishna, and not for anything else, not for anything else. Sometimes I hear a lot of devotees, sometimes I see, and sometimes devotees share also how they feel competitive even in the initiation process. Like, it should happen, but there is competition there also. Oh, that Prabhuji has got, I didn't get. That Mataji has got, I didn't get. So it's good to have a healthy competition, that Mataji chants so sincerely 16 rounds, and then she chants in the Brahma Muhurta. I also should get inspired and chant like that. So that is still good. That will improve our sadhana, but not the other way around. So here, the first important factor is that Chitraketu Maharaj has followed Guru's instructions and had faith on that. So he's saying, like, what will be the result other than what Narad Muni has told me, that I will be taking darshan of you, and also all this contamination that I have in my heart of the sinful desires, sinful activities will be wiped off. So he's saying, therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and their results of material attachment and lusty desires. So he's saying, all the contamination that I have of the sinful activities that I have done so far in my life is wiped off. And also the material desires and attachment, which is the result of those sinful activities or the sinful tendencies that I have, are also wiped off. Because when we become more and more materially conscious, when we become more and more body conscious, our material desires keep increasing. And not only they increase, what happens is we get blinded by those material desires and we forget what is the righteous way to acquire that result, what is not the righteous way. And we will be mostly focusing on acquiring it somehow or the other, whether it is righteous or not. And then we do a lot of sins in that process. So Maharaj Chitraketu is saying, like, the material attachment, the lusty desires, which always filled my mind and the core of my heart. So the heart, before practicing, before initiation, before coming to Krishna consciousness, is full of material desires, material attachments, lusty desires, and sinful tendencies. Once we start practicing the instructions given by Guru and we get darshan of the Lord, then all these things will be getting wiped off. So we may be thinking Maharaj Chitraketu got a direct darshan of Pratyaksha darshan of the Lord, and this is for him, this is for his yuga, and this is for him, and this is not for us. So we won't be able to. Anyway, in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to get darshan of the Lord. But the prescribed darshan of the Lord in Kali Yuga is the Antar darshan. We can always take the darshan of the Lord inside our heart. For that, our heart has to be purified. And for that, what is the process that we have to practice? It's the simple process. It's not even difficult as Maharaj Chitraketu or Maharaj Dhruva, who has to go to the forest, stand on one leg, do not eat anything and practice. It is very, very simple process in Kali Yuga. That is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And that too, that chanting before, and see, we will tell to the beginners who don't have any taste for holy name of the Lord or who haven't practiced anything, that you can chant at any time. To encourage them to chant, to encourage them to at least start chanting, we will say, you chant in the night, you chant when you are traveling, you chant when you are driving. To get them at least used to chanting, we encourage that. But we should not stick to that. We should not be staying there. We have to push ourselves slowly to chant early in our day. And most possible, those devotees who are initiated and who are second initiated or and all, who are at Brahman initiated, we need to be even more serious. And if your life and circumstances are allowing, that is always there. If you have something to take care in the mornings and Your personal life and your day-to-day life gets upside down. Nobody advises. I hear some background noise. So if we have those kind of commitments, then we can lower that and we can chant later. Because it's always Krishna wants our sincerity. It's not like a hard and fast rule. We need to know the purpose of the rules also. So if we have some other responsibilities which needs to be performed during the Brahma Muhurta or during the morning times, and which can't be avoided, which can't be mitigated, then we can slow down. But the most important thing is that inner cleansing is what makes us advanced devotees, not the external factors, like how many classes we spoke, how much service we have done, how many years we are into the practice, how many devotees we are introducing to Krishna consciousness. All these things are also good and important, but the most important thing is we have all these things, but we don't have that inner cleansing happening. Like we don't have that faith in the holy name. We are not purely chanting the holy names of the Lord. Then that is not going to take us further in the devotional service. All these things are also useful, also helpful, also engages in Krishna's service, but the most important thing is our chanting. Most important thing is our chanting, and that pure chanting, quality chanting that we do, which cleanses our heart of all the impurities. If all these impurities are not cleansed, how many ever years we are into the Krishna consciousness, when the challenges are thrown at us, like when the difficulties are thrown at us, like how Chitraketu Maharaj, he has a personal challenge that he lost his beloved son. Similarly, in our lives also, when challenges come to our life, when something happens to our children, or when something happens to our job, when something happens to our financial situation, or when something happens with us among the devotees whom we get confused. We don't know what to do, how to be Krishna consciousness, how not to like how not to get deeper into those lamentations and forget Krishna. Like we get carried away by those sorrows, or we get carried away by those happiness, and we forget Krishna. We forget Krishna and we don't practice Krishna consciousness seriously, and we will be having doubt on our practice, whether we are doing it right or not. So many things happen. So it's very, very important that apart from all these external things, we should chant qualitative rounds. The more we chant in the morning, the more we chant in the mornings is good, because morning times are conducive for sattva mode of goodness is more. Sattva guna's influence is more. And as pure devotees of the Lord, we are progressing to attain that state. We are progressing, we are forwarding. So it's when the wind is in our direction, when we are rowing the boat, we will go faster. So morning, I think again I hear a background noise. I request devotees, please. I am getting distracted, not knowing whether somebody is asking me question or it's just a background noise. So that's why I'm requesting. Please forgive me for that. So Krishna, so we won't be knowing how to withstand those challenges, how to implement what we have been preaching to others, what we have been reading. Preaching is very easy. The other day, one devotee was saying to me, like, if you are a good person, if you can speak nicely, Krishna has given you that ability, and if you are somebody who reads regularly, makes notes and all, we can preach. It's not easy, but still it is easier than practicing. When you have to practice, you know the challenges, how it is. So there are many devotees who may not be preaching, but they may be practicing wonderfully. There may be many devotees who are preaching, but when it comes to practice, they find it so difficult. But still preach so that we can someday practice. But the strength to practice, the strength to clean our heart, from all the material contaminations, material desires, material attachment comes only when we attach ourselves to the holy name of the Lord. We keep hearing in all the lectures that the holy name of the Lord, Lord's paraphernalia, Lord's katha, Lord is not different. So the pratyaksha darshan of the Lord can be attained in the form of holy name of the Lord. So that's why Chitraketu Maharaj was glorifying Lord's holy name before. So here he is saying, it is how can the Guru's words, how can the mercy given to me by Narad Muni can be something else? It is that once I have darshan of you, my heart is completely purified. Whatever is predicted by the great says Narad Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narad Muni. So, Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada. Yasya prasada nagati kutopi. Every day we chant Guru prayers. Guru's mercy, we get Krishna's mercy. And so that's what here Narad Muni is saying. This is the process of the perfect way. One must take lessons from authorities like Narada, Vyasa, and Asita and follow their principles. Then one will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead even with one's own eyes. One only needs training. Atha Sri Krishna Namadina Bhaved Grahyam Indriya. With our blunt eyes and other senses, we cannot perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord according to the instructions of the authorities, it will be possible to see Him. As soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are certainly vanquished. So Prabhupada is writing, this is the process of the perfect way. So this is the process. We are all on that train. We are all on that perfect process. We have Guru's mercy. We have Krishna's. We are hearing from the authorities. The only thing that need now is that determination in mode of goodness, which is unbreakable. Most of the times our determination will be in the mode of ignorance. We'll dream a lot. I will do from tomorrow this, I will do that, I will do this. Years go away, New Year's comes, Guru's Vyasa Puja comes, Janmashtami comes, everything comes and everything goes, but we will not progress in our devotional service. All of us have to review our devotional service every month, if possible every day. How did I spend my day today? How much I spent in Krishna conscious activities, how much I spent in material activities. And in these material activities, how many are really the needs? How many are really needed for me? And how many things I can replace with something else? So always we should challenge ourselves even in the devotional service. And always, constantly, we should have something in our mind is that time is very valuable. Time is something which we cannot get back. So time, and all of us have a prescribed time with, because we are all in this material world. From the time we were born, already our death time is decided. So how much ever we practice, how much ever wealth we give, how much ever we tell, we won't get even a second more. So we need to understand the seriousness of the time, and that is something which is very valuable and which we cannot get back. Remaining all of the things in the life, somehow or the other we may get back, but the time we won't get back. And the time we wasted will not get back. Because the purpose of the human form of life is to realize Krishna, realize our constitutional position with the Lord, our constitutional position, our relationship with the Lord, and then attain Krishna Prema. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So that is the whole purpose of the human form of the life. Human form of the life is not meant for eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, which we can do very well in the animal bodies and without any guilt, without any rules and regulations, without any kind of obstacles, we can do that. So if we are proving again and again that we are using the human form of life for those four things, we are qualifying ourselves for not having the human form of life in our next lives. So it takes lifetimes for us to know our constitutional position. All of us, some of you maybe have realized that we are the soul. But most of the times, the practicing devotees, the sadhana bhaktas, we only know theoretically that we are souls, but not we realize that. The moment we realize our constitutional position that we are soul, we are part and parcel of the Lord, the seriousness in our devotional service changes automatically, immediately changes. There is no doubt in that. The moment we realize that we are soul, the seriousness in our practice changes. So it takes so many lifetimes even to realize what we have read, that we are the spiritual souls and not these bodies. That is establishing our relation, sambandha with the Lord. And then abhidheya, acting in that relationship, doing the karmas in this relationship. As I said earlier, like the moment we realize our constitutional position, that we are the eternal source and part and parcel of the Lord and servants of the Lord, our focus, our priority becomes the devotional service to the Lord. Everything and anything that we do for the pleasure of the Lord. And then when we keep doing like that, what is that prayojana? What is that we attain? Krishna prema. We'll attain Krishna prema. So for this is the process. So that is for that purpose the human form of the life is given to us. And we need to be very serious. Those who don't know the rules, let's say you are going on a road and you break a rule, and the police officer comes and then he says like you need to be ticketed for not following the rule. First time you can say that, oh, I don't know, I'm very new to this city, I don't know that this city has this rule that you can't see mobiles when we are driving, and then I'm extremely sorry, please forgive me for this time. That officer may say that okay, he will give a minimum fine and then he'll forgive you. Next time you do the same mistake and the same officer, you won't get that excuse. So all of us who are on this path of devotional service, who are into Krishna consciousness, we lose that leverage of getting excused because we are constantly hearing. We know now that what is the purpose of the human form of life. After knowing, we are not practicing. So we're getting into that second category of people where we know. So there may be some people who don't know and who are never aware of that. But we are somebody who accepted that we are going to practice. We are on this path. We'll make our devotional service, our life as a priority, and then we are not serious. So we need to be very careful there. One must take lessons from authorities like Narada, Vyasa, and Asita and follow their principles. So taking lessons from authorized sources is very, 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 very important. Nowadays, every week, I at least get one video from somewhere, from some devotee asking me, what is the validity of this video? What is this person saying? It is so attractive. I feel like practicing that. So nowadays, everybody is a preacher in YouTube. They will preach anything and everything, and people follow that also and then practice. So that's not the right way of listening. Our listening is very powerful. What we are listening makes a lot of impact on us. If somebody is constantly listening to the news channels, the same news is bombarded again and again with different kinds of background music and all. From morning you may not be so worried of life. By evening, you will be super worried of the life when you are constantly hearing, constantly watching. I have experienced this during the COVID time. People will be like constantly checking how many cases, how many people died, which place, what. And then they are so worried, so worried. Like, it may happen to them. So I always used to tell them that, you are safely at home. You're not going out. You're even getting vegetables and all to home. The first thing that you should stop is watching that news, which is making you worried. So whatever we hear has a lot of impact on us. Hearing is very, very important. So we should make sure that our hearing is in a right way. We are hearing from the right sources. Even after becoming devotees, initiated and all, we should make sure that we are still hearing good things. We are keeping away from gossips. We are keeping away from nonsensical things, and we are only hearing the material things to the need. I won't say that all of you should stop hearing any kind of a material news or anything. We are living in the material world. We should be aware of the happenings, but it should be just a 10-15 minutes. If you read a newspaper 10-15 minutes, you will get all the gist of it. You don't need to constantly watch the news channel. Or if you see 10-15 minutes bulletin, you'll get all the updates. But that's not what we do. We constantly engage and we constantly get agitated. So our hearing is not like, it's a very, very important thing, and let's not misuse it for other purposes. We should hear from the right sources, and we should be constantly hearing to our Guru, Prabhupada, and we should be reading regularly, which also becomes a hearing. And all of you who are regularly attending these classes are really, really doing a great job, because there are so many great speakers across the world coming and speaking. So please make it a habit. Somehow or the other you are hearing. Like you are cooking for your family and hearing, you're traveling and hearing. Or if you are still in your bed, still put up this class and hear. Start your day from this kind of a hearing rather than hearing the material things or news or WhatsApp or Instagram or some other things. Still start there, because some people want to do it perfectly, saying that Mataji, I can't get up early in the morning, brush, take bath and hear. So that's why I'm not attending. So I keep telling to the devotees, just before when Mataji was calling, I was in another call where the devotees, local devotees, I mean, I always encourage them to join other calls, but they prefer that personal association. These are the devotees who come regularly to the Bhakti Vriksha. So I keep telling them, if you cannot chant, at least join the call and listen to the devotees chanting. So in that way, at least your day starts with chanting. So slowly, there are so many devotees who started like that. We will listen. Okay, we'll have faith on Mataji's words, because she is helping us. We are attending her classes. So they started with listening the call, listening to devotees chant. And there was hardly, maybe I will be chanting and there is one more devotee who will be chanting, mostly. And that devotee also. So that was the situation. Now, this is a process of 10-15 years. Now there are so many devotees who chant in the morning. Like they chant 15 minutes. Like the call goes from 4 to 6. They chant 15 minutes. Like 5:45, like that, they've joined the call. They chant and they read the Bhagavatam. Now that 15 minutes went to 5:30. 5:30 went to 5 for some devotees. 5 went to 4:30 for some devotees. So we all have to make that effort. We all have to be sincere and making that effort. And then slowly. So here, hearing is very, very important. Then one will be able to see Supreme Personality of Godhead face to with his own eyes. So Prabhupada is saying, you will see Supreme Personality of Godhead with your own eyes. One only needs training. Training comes from regularly hearing to Guru, Krishna, devotees, and chanting. Sadhana. Our sadhana is very, 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 very important. Atha Sri Krishna Namadina Bhaved Grahyam Indriya. With our blunt eyes and other senses, we cannot perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord according to the instructions of the authorities, with our material, excuse me, Mataji, extremely sorry. Just give me a second. For some reason I'm hurt. Okay. So we cannot, so as we are practicing, as we are chanting the holy name of the Lord purely, with quality, and reading, hearing, and hearing from the authoritative sources, and reading ABCD, Association of Devotees, books, chanting, and eating prasadam every day, then our material senses will be purified and our spiritual senses will start developing, and then we will be able to see the Lord. it will be possible to see him. As soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are certainly vanquished. We don't even know where our sins, how many sins we have done, how many reactions we still have to endure. Because we all have been taking births from so many lifetimes. Some of us maybe from so many universes. Like, once an universe dissolves, those souls which are not liberated, they'll go back into Mahavishnu and come again in the next creation. So some of us may be like that also. So we don't know. So it's not possible. Many of us think that, oh, I'll do a lot of punya karmas, travel to the holy places, and then I'll purify myself, all the sins. No, those are all very difficult and not guaranteed ways, because when you go to holy place, we have to be even more devotional. So we all show enthusiasm to go to the holy places, but after going to the holy places, if we stay more than 3 days and engage ourselves in lot of other material activities, we are actually incurring more sin. So the best and easiest way, and the way that is prescribed in Kali Yuga, is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord to purify all our sins. So the more we focus on qualitatively chanting the holy names of the Lord, like how Chitraketu Maharaj has seen the Lord face to face, we all will be seeing the Lord face to face. Right now, we may be not having a desire to see the Lord face to face because we are contaminated by material desires, and we are sick, and we are our eyes are blinded by the material desires. So our heart is also filled with material attachments and desires. So we don't have that desire of seeing the Lord face to face. But we need to trust the Guru's and Acharya's instructions, saying that whatever the happiness that you are experiencing by achieving these material desires is not the real happiness. The real happiness comes to the soul when it attains its real position, Nija, constitutional position, that is the servant of the Lord. When it realizes that and serves the Lord, that's when the soul experiences the real happiness. So real happiness is always new. So if we see the material desires that we are fulfilling, that amount of time, the amount of thought process that we put it in to fulfill our material desires, most of the times we don't get what we desire. First thing, we don't get what we desire. Many of us may be desiring $1 million house, but we may be living in a 200, 300, 400K houses, because we don't get what we desire. And what is our desire? Sometimes we may desire even staying in the Swargaloka, but we don't do the karmas or activities to get what we desire. And even we do, we may not get it. So most of the times the nature of the material desires is we don't get what we desire. And the second, after we get what we desire, they don't give us the same happiness what we have assumed or what we have aspired. So we may be like wanting to buy this BMW car or a Tesla car from so many days. And after buying, we may have imagined so many things. And when we look at the real product, it may not be like that. And then next, the happiness won't stay forever. Like, how many of the people have experienced the same happiness that they have experienced on the day they fulfill their material desire? The next day, the next day, the next day, it won't be the same. The first day when you buy a house, you will be like so happy. You'll be going and sitting in all the rooms. You will be imagining here, there. And after some years, you will be tired of cleaning that house, and that the same house may be feeling like it may be like becoming a burden. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. You don't go and sit on all the rooms. You don't clean and keep it. So the happiness won't be the same. And most importantly, it won't stay with us permanently. Either we leave them or they leave us. That is the nature of the material life. So those who of us are so serious, because in these calls, I see most of the devotees who are attending regularly are serious in their devotional service. There are two ways, like either we voluntarily detach and practice vairagya from the unwanted material things. So I'm using that word unwanted. Actually, If we have to progress, we have to get from all the material things. But let's say initially we get from the unwanted things, because even those things are removed from our life, we will progress a lot. So if we don't voluntarily practice detachment from the unwanted things, they get detached from us in the form of the time. In due course of the time, kala, they will be getting detached from us. Either we leave them or they leave us. That is the nature of the material things. So the happiness that we experience in serving the Lord is no way compared to the happiness that we attain in fulfilling the material desires. That is what scriptures are telling us. But we may not be experiencing that because we still did not taste the real happiness in the chanting of the holy names, because we are still contaminated, we are still materially diseased. We can only see this material happiness, so our focus on fulfilling these material desires may be more. But like how Chitraketu Maharaj has kept faith in Narad Muni's words and practiced, we all should keep faith in Guru's and Krishna's words and the scriptures, and start sincerely practicing. If we are not sincerely practicing, we will not achieve anything. But once we start sincerely practicing our Guru's instructions and qualitatively chanting, we will experience that real happiness in this lifetime itself. In this lifetime itself, we may go back to Krishna, Golok Vrindavan, and achieve that spiritual happiness, which is more greater. And there is no comparison, actually, in fact, for the material happiness. So that is what here, because of Narada's mercy, because of Guru's mercy, I achieved, I got your mercy. So that is what here Chitraketu Maharaj is saying. I'll finish 46 also. It doesn't have any purport. So, Viditam ananta samstam tava jagadatmano iha vignapyam paramaguro kiyad iva savituriva khadyothai. Viditam ananta samstam tava jagadatmano Vignapyam paramaguro kiyad iva savituriva khadyothai. O unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever a living entity does in material world is well known to you because you are the super soul. In the presence of the sun, there is nothing to be revealed by the light of a glowworm. Similarly, because you know everything, in your presence, there is nothing for me to make known. That is what here? The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows everything. Viditam ananta samastam. Ananta. You know everything about the ananta, unlimited actions these living entities have done, and unlimited living entities. Not that only one. He knows everything. Ananta samastam. You know about the actions of all the living entities. For you, or the super soul. So Krishna as a super soul is accompanying every living entity in every body they are taking. So the only one thing that is constant is our relationship with the Lord. Remaining all relationships are temporary, but we feel as if they are like forever. Like even with the spouses, children, parents, siblings, all these relations are temporary. The only one relation that is constant and eternal is the relationship with the Lord. And we spend less time there and more time in everything else. And Jagad Atmano, and the Supreme, so you are the super soul, Jagad Atmano, and the Supreme Guru, Parama Guru. So Krishna is Parama Guru. Viditam ananta samastam tava jagadatmano janairiha charitam vignapayam paramaguru. There is nothing for me to inform you, just as a glowworm's light is nothing in the presence of the sun. So glowworm's light is nothing in the presence of the sun. It is it may be visible in the night, but not in the sunlight. So he's saying, what should I speak about me, Krishna? You know everything. Like you know everything about me, about all my actions. You are that Supreme Lord. There is nothing I need to say. So this thing we all have to remember, that Krishna knows everything and Krishna is watching everything. And if we have sincere desires in our heart of practicing devotional service, but we are not able to implement that, so at least we should keep those desires. Like most of us, even though we know that we can't achieve certain things, we keep desiring the material things and we will be constantly meditating of them. In the same way, we should replace those material desires with spiritual desires. Even though they are very difficult for us to achieve, at least we should be desiring them. Like, oh, one day I'll finish chanting before 6 o'clock. I'll wake up at 3, do the Brahma Murta, do the Mangala Arati, and finish before 6. One day I'll do, and keep one day in your life, whether it is your birthday or whether New Year or Janmashtami or someday. Like maybe if you are all doing every day, this instruction is not for you. For those who are not doing, that is, or some of us may not be reading at all. So we should keep at least a desire, like I will read whole Bhagvatam with purpose. I'll read whole Bhagavad Gita with purpose. I'll read Chaitanya Charitamrita with purpose. I'll read that book, Chaitanya Bhagavata. I'll read Laghu Bhagavatamritam. I will read Bruhad Bhagavatamritam. This is my schedule. At least we should keep those desires. So if something is very obvious with you, something is very easy for you to do, like getting up early in the morning and chanting, you are able to do. There is no challenges. Then find out that area in devotional service where we have challenges, and we should add that. So in that way, we can make our whole day into Krishna consciousness. Because when we have a challenge, we will be thinking about it often. Like, oh, if you have to do something which you have never done, let's say somebody comes and says, Mataji, you have to do DT worship tomorrow. I have never done anytime DT worship. The DT dressing, not DT worship, DT dressing. So then if they tell me 1 month later you have to do DT worship, I'll be start working on it from today itself. Oh, how I will be doing. I'll go and watch other Matajis doing, and I'll be asking questions. I'll be noting down. I'll be doing all these things. So all this 1 month, I have been meditating on one desire, which was a challenging service for me. And then everything automatically becomes Krishna consciousness. So to keep us active, to keep us always enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness and always thinking of the Lord, we should challenge ourselves. We should come out of that comfort zone. We should not settle down in comfort zone and keep practicing. We should practice those things which are must, which are regular, those with a qualitative thing, and we should add things so that our whole day revolves around Krishna consciousness. And again, all these things we should do based on our circumstances. If somebody who has small children at the house, we should not add more challenges and make our personal life also very difficult. If we have grown-up children and we have a little bit cool job where we know what to do 8 to 5, and then we have time, and then we are misusing that time in unnecessary things, and we are not challenging ourselves, we are comfortably doing the things, then, and we are losing enthusiasm. We should keep our enthusiasm up by adding the things into our life and desiring, at least, like, the first step starts from desiring. What goes in desiring? Like, you don't spend anything in desiring. And if we can transform all our material desires into spiritual desire, we all can desire, like, one day I'm going to go to the Goloka Vrindavan and serve the Lord directly. One day I'm going to go and do a high level preaching. Or one day I'm going to go and do a kirtan in such a way that whoever is in the hall are going to immerse themselves in the holy name of the Lord. We all can desire all those things. And then we all can, one day they will manifest. Who knows? So because Krishna knows everything, Krishna is inside our heart. And if we are sincerely desiring for something, he will manifest them. And I personally have experienced in my life, desiring something comes into manifestation with respect to spiritual desires. Like I always desire something. Like, whenever I look at that person or when that devotee, I see how great this devotee is doing this thing. I wish one day I do. So I was not even close. Like that devotee, let's say, is at 100%. I was not even at 1%. I was below 1%. But I've been desiring to reach that stage. And Krishna is, I don't know still if I reach that stage or that, but I have come 80-90%, and at least my motivation and my desire to attain that has increased a lot and lot. So all these spiritual desires, we can fill our heart, and we can replace every material thing slowly with the spiritual thing, and then Krishna is inside our heart as a super soul, and he will manifest them in our life at one point of time. We don't need to worry that we will be deprived of many of the material happinesses. Actually, the happiness that we are deriving from those material things is not actually in those things. If it is there in those things, then the same thing should give us happiness all the time. It's not. It's in our perception. It's in our thinking that is giving us happiness. So when we engage ourselves in the spiritual activities, when we engage ourselves in the devotional service to the Lord, and when we fill our heart with the spiritual desires, the happiness that we are going to get, it will be more than what we are getting in fulfilling our material desires. And we will not be deprived of anything. We will be still very happy. We'll be still doing the things. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Do the material things only up to the extent wanted, and use every minute, every second thinking about the Lord or engaging ourselves in devotional service to the Lord. We will get that enthusiasm, that motivation to do like that when our quality of chanting is more. So let us all start from there to have a qualitative chanting and regular hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, as mentioned in these two verses, we will get the direct darshan of the Lord, and there is no other miracle, there is no other what do you call that, there is no other way, there is only this way. Prabhupada was also saying this is the perfect way, listening to the authorities and practicing, training ourselves. I'll conclude here today's session, Mataji's and Prabhuji's. Anybody would like to correct me or add, or any questions or comments, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. It was really wonderful and very useful points you mentioned in the class. It was really wonderful, and everything is explained on the practical basis. So I think this will definitely help everyone on the call, and you explained on all points. So mostly I don't have any specific question, but thank you for your wonderful and nectarian class, Mataji, today morning.
Thank you, Prabhu. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Krishna. Krishna's mercy.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Such a wonderful, pure, powerful class, Mataji. Actually, when I requested Mataji, Mataji said I didn't prepare for the class, but your class was so nice, Mataji. And so many points you covered in this.
Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy. I was having a dilemma when you asked me, because I was supposed to do another service from 6:30 to 7:30. So I was just thinking, usually I do it before 7:30 because from 8 I start working. So I was not prepared. Usually when my class is there, I prepare myself and I finish that before I come to class. So I was really thinking, what should I do? Which service should I take up? So then Yeah, that was the delay. I could not answer. So I thought like this is also Krishna's service and Guru's Guru and devotee service. So let me take up this.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Thank you,
Dhanvat
Mataji,
Pranam,
for a nice
Prabhu.
class. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Dr. Sri Prabhupada. Yeah, such a nice class, and your long sadhana and your preaching experience really helps us in advanced Krishna consciousness. You rightly said the hearing and sadhana, the practice, are the fundamentals of advancement in our spiritual life, and so important to keep hearing from the authorities and do our practice, preferably early in the morning. That's so much important thing, and the goal I have seen in this today's verse, seeing the Lord face to face. That's what we all desire. Nice. Thank you for your kind association, Mataji, and your nectar in class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Krishna's mercy.
Yes, Mataji, and we see you are so dedicated to these preaching services, and that is so inspirational, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all so much for engaging me in the service, Mataji.
Mataji, today, like it was the best part, my daughter Samradni was just beside me and she was hearing your class. She liked it so much, and it was really good for the youth, I can say, and reminded her like about the Cedar Rapid where we met you,
Oh, very well. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Welcome,
Thank you
Mataji.
for
Yeah.
engaging me in service, and thank you.
Welcome, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
If nobody has any questions or comments, maybe we can conclude